Mic check. Test, test. Just going to give a couple of minutes to allow people to come on in, get settled, grab a seat, and we will get started in about 1 minute. Test, test. Kwekakina. Hello, everybody. I hope that you are having a good morning. I'm just going to give a couple of seconds to allow people to grab a seat. While we do that, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. Kwekakina, nin Makhena Rankin-Guerin, Dinjine Kazonan, nin Anishinaabe, Abitibi Winikwe. Hello, everybody. My name is Makhena Rankin-Guerin. I am an Anishinaabe Algonquin from Abitibi First Nation, but I was born and raised in Ottawa. My family comes from Piche, also known as Abitibi First Nation, which is a reserve about 6 hours up north from here. I'm part of the Turtle Clan, and my spirit name is Evening Star, Morning Star Woman. Bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Makhena Rankin-Guerin. Je suis Anishinaabe Algonquine de la nation Abitibi-Winnie, mais j'ai aussi des racines canadiennes françaises du côté de mon père. Je fais partie du clan de la Tortue et mon nom d'esprit est l'étoile du matin, étoile du soir. So I just wanted to quickly take a moment to recognize that we are currently on unceded, unsurrendered Anishinaabe Algonquin territory. So I would like to welcome you to the territory of my ancestors. The Anishinaabe Algonquin people have been known for a very long time to be a very welcoming people. The name Ottawa actually comes from an indigenous word, Odawa, which means a place of trade. Now there's this island right behind the Parliament Hill, now called Victoria Island, and this island was very important to our people because it was a gathering point for many different nations. When you look at Ottawa, you see many different rivers coming and crossing. So you could see canoes coming from all of the different directions come to meet the Anishinaabe Algonquin to do trade. Now within the First Nations, in Canada at least, we are over 50 different unique nations with over 50 different unique languages. That's not even including all of the different dialects. So it would often happen that the Anishinaabe Algonquin would welcome people with a language barrier. So what they would do to show that they are very welcoming and friendly people is that they would welcome people using the gift of the universal language, the gift of a song. So following the tradition of my ancestors, I would like to sing you a song today to welcome you to the territory, but also to get this day started on the right foot. Miigwech. All right. So the next thing that we are about to show you is a contemporary hoop dance. Now, the hoop dance is a storytelling dance. You are going to see me do different representations of the nature that surrounds us. Some of you might see animals, some of you might see plants, some of you might see characters. Now, I'm not really supposed to share the representations that I'm doing because then it's going to prevent you from seeing what you are meant to see. As the hoop dance is not only a storytelling dance, but it's also a medicinal dance. In our culture, we consider medicine to be anything that helps us to feel better, anything that helps us to be healthier, happier. So our emotions are a very powerful form of medicine, and the hoop dance is supposed to create those good emotions so they may act as medicine for the mind, the body, and the soul. Now today, I'm going to have my younger brother with me, DJing, live mixing one of his own creations. But even though the music is a little bit more modern, even though the materials for my hoops and my regalia is a little bit more modern, we still keep the tradition of this dance, which is to be a storytelling and medicinal dance. So that was the hoop dance, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you felt some good medicine. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you. Miigwech.
So thank you so much to Makhena and DJ Makwa for opening our day. That was a great way to get us pumped for an amazing day. So thank you again so much. Hello and welcome to the 2025 Student Support Professionals Federation PD Day. So welcome to our SSP members, special guests, presenters, community partners, and everyone else who's joined us for the opening of today. So welcome everyone. My name is Joey Persaud, and I'm thrilled to be your Educational Services Officer for the 3rd year. So in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge the gift and privilege of District 25 of OSSTF being situated on unceded and unsurrendered Algonquin Anishinaabe territory. I would like to give my respect and thanks to the Algonquin Nation who have been and continue to be living on and caring for the land from time immemorial. I would like to give my respect to their traditional knowledge keepers, elders, and leaders, as well as the other First Nations, Inuit, and Métis folks who uphold and maintain their cultures, traditions, and beliefs. I would like to express my appreciation for the many gifts that the land on which I live affords me. I acknowledge that I and everyone living on this land has a responsibility to it and all the other living beings that inhabit this land. I also recognize that a land acknowledgement alone is not sufficient and that there must be action towards truth, reconciliation, and disruption of ongoing colonization that must follow. Lastly, I recognize that colonization is not historical, but rather an ongoing process, and I commit to learn and unlearn to help in the disruption and dismantling of colonial and oppressive systems. I'm now going to read our anti-harassment statement. Let us not take thought for our separate interests, but let us help one another. A member of OSSTF FASO has the right to a workplace and union environment free from harassment and bullying. Harassment and discrimination are not joking matters. They have a destructive effect on workplace environments, individual well-being, and union solidarity. Such actions are always unacceptable. As members of OSSTF FASO, our goal must be to protect human rights, to promote mutual respect and trust, and to foster inclusion. OSSTF FASO is committed to strengthening member solidarity and takes seriously its own responsibility to ensure that members are treated with respect and dignity at all provincially sponsored OSSTF FASO events and meetings. Any member who feels targeted by harassment or discrimination must be able to speak up and know that their concerns will be responded to immediately in accordance with OSSTF FASO policies and bylaws and the resolution and complaint procedure as approved by AMPA. This event's anti-harassment officer is Alicia Brennan, and for those of you with a pass, her email is written on your pass. So, this day was made possible by a committee of several dedicated educational assistants and early childhood educators who volunteered to collaborate in the planning and delivery of this day of professional development. So I'd like to give my committee a big thanks. So Alicia, Amanda, Anastella, Chris, Hannah, Iat, James, Kirsten, Marta, Mina, Tamisha, and Tasha. Let's give them a big round of applause. So this day would have not been possible without their support, and just like all of our members, they are in the classrooms and schools every day, and they've volunteered their time to make this happen for all of you. So thank you to all of them. So I'd like to also take a moment for us to appreciate our beautiful venue that we have this year, the Canada Science and Technology Museum. So we're really thrilled to be able to work with the Ingenium team, who are represented by Public Service Alliance of Canada, and to be able to offer this amazing and engaging space for our members to host our event this year. So our bargaining unit is composed of almost 3,000 educational assistants and registered early childhood educators. Our bargaining unit is the largest education worker bargaining unit in every district across all of the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation. So yeah, we are big. We have a voice. Our almost 3,000 members serve over 70,000 students and families across 148 schools. The work our members do is instrumental for student success from their first experience into school and throughout their entire elementary and secondary school careers. EAs and ECs are dedicated professionals who provide invaluable service to the students in their care. With extensive knowledge, training, and expertise, we often lack the recognition we deserve. The impact of caring educators is a long-lasting one, shaping students' lives. We support vulnerable students, including the youngest and those with exceptionalities, offering our nurturing care. Our jobs are extremely demanding, but also highly rewarding through the connections we make with students, families, and colleagues. Without the support of EAs and ECEs, many students would struggle to participate in and succeed as active learners in the public school system. We are very thrilled today to be offering several enriching workshops and experiences that build on the extensive knowledge and training our members have. There is a great variety of workshops to address needs we have in our day-to-day roles, but also workshops and experiences meant to benefit our own wellness and personal growth. Workshops and experiences today range from an exploration of self-regulation, behaviors, wellness, mindfulness, play-based learning, Indigenous education, outdoor learning, and many more areas of interest for our members. We are looking forward to an amazing day of learning with all of you. So during the lunch hour and throughout the day, you'll notice in your folders you all received a networking bingo card. So I'm very hopeful. I know some people already managed to fill it out before the day even began, so well done. You will get extra raffle tickets if you show them at the registration table for each row you've completed. So it's a great way to meet your fellow SSP members. So we're now going to begin a little how well do you know your union trivia, where you can also win more tickets. So James and Tamisha are going to grab those two mics down there, if you don't mind. And we have some questions about your union. And if you know the answer, feel free to buddy up with people next to you too. If you know the answer, raise your hand nice and high, and James and Tamisha will come around with a mic and tell us the answer. So our first question is a tough one. Who is your bargaining unit president? So, don't yell it out, raise your hand. Raise your hand nice and high. Tamisha, you might have to turn on that mic too.
I got something first, Joey.
Hannah.
That is not the correct answer, unfortunately. So someone else, James, someone, or Tamisha, someone else. Oh, you have a mic over there? Chris Walsh. Oh, and there he is walking by front row center. Chris Walsh. Well done. You might receive lots of communication from these other folks listed up here, but Chris Walsh is your bargaining unit president. Where can you access the collective agreement? So if you know, raise your hand nice and high. James and Tamisha are coming around. Oh, James,
See the SSP Info Hub?
Yes, the SSP Info Hub has your collective agreement. Well done. Give out those tickets. Okay, this one, believe it or not, is a tricky one. What union, don't look at the logos in the corner of the screen, by the way. What union are you associated with?
Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation.
Excellent. Yes, you are. Well done. Now this one is where it gets really tricky. 2 tickets for this one. What bargaining unit are you part of? Who was listening to my speech just now?
SSP.
SSP, yes, Student Support Professionals. So the SSP bargaining unit represents which job classes?
C.
Over here, Joey.
C is correct. Educational assistants and early childhood educators.
Joey better pay
Excellent.
Yeah, I know. What a guy.
That was 2 tickets for that one too. All right. What is the name of the committee that brings you amazing PD days?
I got someone, Joey.
Is it working? Oh, the Educational Services Committee.
The Educational Services Committee is correct. What is the name of the committee that looks after bargaining your collective agreement? This is a two-pointer as well. This is a tricky one.
B, Collective Bargaining Committee.
So we can give half a point for that because it's formerly known as the Collective Bargaining Committee. Anyone else want to try?
Am I answering that? B. Ooh, say it.
B.
Oh. Hi, am I on?
You are.
Oh, you want me to say it? It's
Yes.
the Protective Services Committee.
Protective Services Committee. Excellent.
Just saying.
So
All right.
this is not an exhaustive list
Sing a
of
little
options, but generally speaking, when should you contact your union? So we have lots of different options here. And again, this is not an exhaustive list, but
All the
who would
above?
like to try this one?
All the above?
All of the above is correct. All of those answers are correct. So all of these options are a general reason you might want to contact your union, but again, this is not an exhaustive list. So how can you become more involved in your union?
All of the above.
All of the above. Yes, you got it. Give out those tickets. So this one is Alicia's favorite. What legislation trumps all others when it comes to worker safety?
Over here, Joey.
B.
I think B.
Yes, the Occupational Health and Safety Act does trump all others. Thank you. So, this one's a tricky one. This one, 2 tickets. Which member of your executive would you contact regarding workplace injuries, all leaves, pension, benefits, and workplace accommodations?
That would be Alicia Brennan,
That would be Alicia Brennan. Way to go back there.
my good friend.
So Alicia Brennan is your membership services officer, so you would contact her for those following reasons. So your SSP executive is composed of 11 members, other than the membership services officer, which is Alicia. How long is the term of all of the executive members?
2.
Yes, 2. Who said that? Well done. Yes, 2 years. 2 years. The SSP executive are elected members. Who elects them into their position/office?
C.
Yes, the membership, all of you elect your executive into their positions. And this one, there is one wrong answer to this. Do you know who your site representative is?
Yeah, it is A. A, sorry.
A. So there is only one wrong answer, which is B. I have no idea. You either ideally should know who your site rep is, or know that your site doesn't have a rep, which hopefully one day it will, or the third one, which is a double pointer, you are the site rep. So that would be your options. So I would now, well done everyone, and make sure to cash in those raffle tickets. I would now like to call on Hannah Metcalfe, our Protective Services Officer, to take the stage to discuss some great things.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Hannah Metcalfe. I use the pronoun she, her, al. And as Joey was just speaking about with regards to that last question, I would like to talk a little bit about our site reps. Our site reps are a extremely important component of how we operate as a bargaining unit. If you are a site rep, please stand up because I would love for everybody to give you a round of applause. Up, up, up. Thank you. So this year, we have seen higher levels of engagement with regards to site reps. We have, I believe it's 148 schools, and I think we only have 15 at which we don't have a site rep, which is one of the highest numbers that we've seen in recent history. So I would really like to thank all of those people who dedicate and volunteer their time to ensure that our membership is supported. Now, I do often get questions about what the roles and responsibilities of the site reps are, and they're not super complicated, but they are very important. So within the SSP Constitution, it does outline the different roles that these people do have. However, I do want to highlight a couple of really important ones. When you have an issue at your work site, typically your site rep is the first person that you're going to talk about that issue. When you have a question about union, like the SSP Info Hub, the Constitution, where you can find the collective agreement, your SSP site rep will be able to answer all of those questions. We offer, as a SSP bargaining unit, we offer great opportunities for our site reps to become more engaged in OSSTF as a whole. So for example, we invite the site reps to attend AMPA, which is the annual meeting of the Provincial Assembly. It is a place where OSSTF as a provincial whole does business that affects the Federation. That being said, we do have limited number of spots, so if you are a site rep or you're looking to become a site rep so you can attend that, you need to let us know of your interest very, very quickly. But I did just want to come on and say how important that those people are to our Federation and how much we value them. We appreciate all of the time that you put in, the, receiving all of the emails that I send you on a, rotating basis. Although I know that all of you get very many messages from me. So I thank you for allowing that. What I also wanted to talk to you today was about, apologize, my throat's a little scratchy today, was the Safe Schools campaign. So OSSTF as a provincial whole has launched a campaign, and for those of you who were in person today, you saw a table outside in the hallway with a little fun spinner wheel. This is a petition, and essentially it's outlining that the Ford government does not provide enough funding for our schools to function. The people in this room and the people who are at home know this the most, because as it trickles down, the lack of funding, we see directly how it impacts our students. We see how they are not receiving the supports that they need, how they're on years-long wait lists to get assessments and the supports that they need. So I encourage you to go out and sign this petition. For those of you who are watching from home, we do also have a link that will be sent out in the next couple of days, so you can fill out that petition at home as well. This also directly correlates to the elementary program review, which we know that you have been getting a lot of questions about. The elementary program review has very many facets attached to it, and it's something that your local SSP executive is watching with a very close eye. There are many aspects of this which are extremely concerning. For us, the two main ones are the removal of 39 specialized classes that directly support students with special needs, and the other piece of it is the removal of the alternative education sites. Excuse me. Chris, Walsh, and I have been very vocal at all tables to state that students need the support that they have because they don't have enough. And what's it going to look like when we reintegrate those students into the classrooms with less supports? Our schools are already in crisis with regards to lack of support and the rising violence issues. Violence is already at a critical point. I would encourage everybody here, if you are a person, parent, who lives within the Ottawa area and you have access to one of the trustees, please send your trustee an email. Let them know about your displeasure as a parent or an employee or as a constituent about the elementary program review. There are of course, parts of it that I think that would benefit the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board as a whole. However, it is too much and it's too quick, and it cannot all be done properly within the very short time period in which they've provided. So I know that that wasn't nearly as fun as what Joey had just provided with the trivia. So I'm really glad that he was able to provide that fun piece. So again, my name is Hannah Metcalfe. If at any point you have any questions, please feel free to come find me, chat with me. Most of you have my email. Most of you have access to me through the Google Groups or the Google Chats. And I'd love to talk about more opportunities for us to not only advocate for ourselves as employees, but advocate for our students. Thank you.
I would now like to call on Chris Walsh, your bargaining unit president, to deliver his presidential address.
All right. Thank you, Joy. I have had a lot of introductions in my day, and that was by far the most recent. I actually, on the way up here, and as I was watching that incredible Indigenous opening that we saw, I got to thinking that we all have a lot in common here today, and it's even for everybody online, everybody here, myself, none of us have any idea what I'm going to say up here today. So. But I did lie a little bit. I do have something written down. I will start by, I guess, introducing myself. My name is Hannah Metcalfe, and I am your bargaining unit president. Sorry, my name is Chris Walsh. I am your bargaining unit president. I've been in the board since 1996, and excuse me, I have lost my notes, so sorry about that. Okay, I'll go without them. So, yeah, so I started at Ridgemont High School in the community living program. From there, I was moved off to MacArthur High School and worked in the orthopedic unit, and for quite a few years. From there, I moved on to Fielding Drive Public School for 3 years in it was a sort of 4 to 8 split dual diagnosis class. That program kind of chewed me up and spit me out, so back to MacArthur I went, and at that time it was called Ottawa Technical Secondary School, and the program was the physical support program. I stayed there for another 9 or so years, and about 7 years ago I went to Canterbury High School, where I worked in the physical support program as well. And of course this year I've earned the honor and privilege of being in the role that I am occupying today in front of you. So thank you very much for entrusting me with that. And, you know, and once again, not having any idea what we're going to talk about here today, Joey did ask me to prepare a joke. I didn't prepare one, but I did, luckily, on the way in, I actually encountered a genie, and this genie actually provided me with a wish. So I did mention to the genie, I thought about it for a second, I said, you know, I've never been to Hawaii, I hate to fly, I don't like boats, can you build me a bridge to Hawaii? Genie looked at me and said, are you nuts? Like, do you see all the pilings we'd have to make, the thousands of miles of highway, the environmental impact studies? Like, no. So I thought about it for a second, I said, all right, well, can you force the Ford government to put more money into education? Because he's been pulling it out for years. So the genie stopped and looked at me for a second and said, for that highway, do you want 1 lane or 2? I am still trying to bring up my notes, but I'm unsuccessful. So I will carry on by mentioning our Joey will be coming up and introducing some very special guests and whatnot imminently, but I do want to mention our SSP executive. Now, this body of 11 members, as was mentioned earlier, is elected by you, the membership, and they're elected to do exactly what they're supposed to do, and that is to serve at the behest of the membership to make sure that members' needs are met day in and day out. And I can tell you from my short time, as I'm 3/4 of a year into my first year as president, I've witnessed that in spades. And so I do want to just acknowledge them and introduce them to you. I realize some are not in the room, but Hannah Metcalfe and Alicia Brennan. Hannah is our Protective Services Officer, Alicia our Membership Services Officer, and they work with me in the district office. Then we also have our 2 executive officers. We have Joanne Clark and Tammy Piche. We have our Vice President, Donna Hewitt, our Treasurer in charge of all of our finances and keeps a close eye on our money, Amanda Skeeney. Ben Kavanaugh is our Communications Officer. Joey Persaud, of course, you've met up here, is our Educational Services Officer. Kendra Lachine is our Equity, Anti-Oppression, and Anti-Racism Officer. She's across giving a first aid course to some of our members. And we have Cheryl Cavell, who is our Secretary as well. And so I do want to acknowledge this body and thank them for all of their hard work as well. So. That does bring us to probably, well, the most important, and we do have a very special guest here today, and it's what this whole day is about. I'm very excited that this person is here. This person gets up at 7 o'clock in the morning, greets our students daily. This person is here till 6:45 at night. Sends our kids home with a smile. This person, you're going to be absolutely just dumbfounded by their dedication, their professionalism, their hard work, what they give of themselves day in and day out. This person has technical skills, has professional skills, has a myriad of skills to meet the growing needs of our students every day, and this person gives tirelessly and selflessly. Daily to meet the needs of our students. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce this person, and this person is you, right? Everybody, everybody here in the room, everybody home online, this is your PD day, right? So welcome to your Federation PD day. This day is your day, along with the board, your employer. You pay for the day. Along with Joey and his committee, you guys prepare the day. You're based on your feedback. The day is prepared for you with the amazing presenters that are available to you and all of the things that are here offered today. So I really want you to enjoy the day, enjoy what's here to offer by the professionals or the Educational Services Committee, and really take everything you can out of the day and enjoy each other's company and camaraderie. And on that note, I will just leave you with one story. I'm borrowing it from a Nobel Peace Prize winner back in the 70s, and she said, you go to work and you work hard every single day, and sometimes it feels like it's just a little drop in the ocean. And, but without everybody's little drops in the ocean would be empty and dry, right? So you guys go to work every single day, and you guys are a drop in your students' ocean. So without those drops, our students would be empty and dry, right? So please remember how important you are. Thank you very much.
So I am so thrilled to welcome our next guest to the stage. So Martha Hradowy is the current Vice President of the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation. She was first elected to the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation Provincial Executive in 2017 and was re-elected in 2019. In 2021, Martha was elected as one of the vice presidents of OSSTF FASO and has served 2 terms as president. Now here's the exciting, I mean that was exciting too, but here's the more exciting part. Martha made OSSTF history this year at the annual meeting of the Provincial Assembly, where she ran for the office of president and won. This is history making because in OSSTF's 104-year history, this position was always held by a teacher. Martha Hradowy is a proud education worker who has worked both as an educational assistant and developmental service worker in the Greater Essex County District School Board. She will be the first ever education worker to hold the office of OSSTF President. Please give a warm welcome to Martha.
Thank you so much, Joey. I got a tear in my eye. It only happened a couple of weeks ago, so it is absolutely exciting, and I'm honored, and it just speaks to how much our federation has evolved over 100 years to elect an education worker. And I'm excited, not only for myself, but for all of us. I really, really am. We're going to do great things together as a union. Before I get into my speaking notes, I do just want to take a moment and recognize all of the hard work that Chris and Alicia and Hannah, as your release officers, put in for you each and every day. It is unspoken heroes, I guess, the work of the Federation, our release officers. You do take a lot of time away from your own family to serve the membership of OSSTF. So for that, from me, thank you very much for that. And on behalf of the membership as well. So. And also, just a little note, Joey, in fact, was awarded the Provincial Education Services Award for all of his work, providing professional development for all of you. So congratulations to Joey. That light is incredibly bright. I can't see any of you. So it's like I can only see Hannah and Joey. So I'll get started. Good morning, everyone. As Joey said, my name is Martha Hradowy, and I do stand before you with an incredible sense of pride and responsibility. As Joey said, for the first time in OSSTF's 106-year history, an education worker, one of us, has been chosen to lead OSSTF FASO. For those of you who don't know me, I come from a working class background. I come from Windsor, Ontario. My family is very much blue collar. My mother was public service worker. I have walked the same hallways, faced the same challenges, and shared the same struggles that many of you have. And I'm here to tell you, as of July 1st, that this is our moment as education workers in OSSTF. I believe in leadership that is rooted in teamwork and grassroots power. The union is not me, it is not Chris, it is not Hannah, it is not Alicia, it is not your executive, it is all of you and all of us. We are not a hierarchy in OSSTF, we are a collective. I believe that we rise and we fall together, and certainly leadership is not about being perfect. It's about learning, growing, and showing up together, and that is, for me, the real foundation of solidarity. We are facing extraordinary challenges, but again, I want to be clear. We are going to meet these challenges head on together. The strength of this union has never, ever come from the top. It has always come from the people in this room, from the work sites across the province and from every education worker who refuses to back down. Right now, our schools are in crisis, a crisis created by chronic underfunding from Doug Ford's government. And we are seeing the consequences everywhere. As Hannah had spoke about in Ottawa Carleton, the proposed $20 million budget shortfall for 25-26 means about 150 job losses across the system. 80 of those jobs come from education workers. These are not numbers on a spreadsheet. These are real people, real families, and real students who are going to suffer. When jobs are cut, students do suffer. When support staff are pulled from classrooms, the most vulnerable students lose the help that they need to grow and to learn. Of course, our colleagues scramble, burnout grows, and schools are left to pick up the pieces with fewer and fewer resources. Let me be clear, this is not a mismanagement at the local level. This is not the Ottawa Carleton District School Board. This is a direct result of a government that refuses to invest in our children, in our communities, into our future, and into our public services. But we are not powerless. In District 25, OSSTF bargaining units are already mobilizing. And now I'm going to call on every single one of you to join in that fight. We have to lobby our trustees. We have to put pressure on our MPPs. We must make our voices impossible to ignore. Bill is here. Sorry, Bill, is that you? No, come on down. Come on down, you're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Bill is our organizer at OSSTF. We have 6 full-time organizers. I'm very proud of this work. I do hope that it's going to continue as we prepare for the expiration of our collective agreements, which is August 30th, 2026. Bill has with him the Better School, Stronger Community petition. This is one tool that we're using right now, and we're going to ask each and every one of you to sign it. Bill can certainly talk about it after my speaking notes and what we're going to be doing with these petitions. But this is just one way that you can help us mobilize. But tools only work when the people use them. We need all of our hands on deck. We need solidarity in action and not just in spirit. Because when we stand together, we are absolutely an unstoppable force. And just like Canadians are doing right now, coming together and telling Trump to beat it and have our elbows up, we must absolutely do the same thing with Doug Ford and say that we are not going to let our students suffer, not on our watch. And while we're fighting funding cuts, we also have to confront another crisis, workplace violence. Over 70% of education workers have reported violent incidents on the job. We are being kicked, punched, spit on, and injured. And yet, the government acts like this is just part of our work. Let me be absolutely clear. Violence is not part of our job. No one should fear going to work. No one should feel dismissed when they raise safety concerns. No one should have to choose between their well-being and their paycheck. This crisis is not just about staff, it's about students too. Unsafe schools harm everyone. It's time for real systemic change. That's why OSSTF FASO released our white paper, the Safe at School Building Safer School Communities. In that white paper, or the recommendations that we have shared with the government and we are going to continue to mobilize behind, are 34 actionable solutions. And we're not waiting for the government to act, we are taking the lead. OSSTF has been asking for the government to form a stakeholder table with invitations to everybody, superintendents, directors, principals, other unions. We've been asking for that stakeholder table. In the absence of that, OSSTF has announced our own stakeholder table, and we're inviting all of those interested parties to come join us in dealing with workplace violence. We're going to demand proper staffing. We're going to demand mandatory reporting, trauma-informed training, and real supports. The talking time is over. It's time to implement the solutions. And I'll say, if that isn't enough, we also face the looming threat of privatization of the public education system. Make no mistake, if Doug Ford refuses to fund our schools, exactly what he is doing right now, he is paving the way for the private interest to swoop in and profit off of our kids. You only have to look to the healthcare sector to see how he values public services. He's implementing the privatization playbook, underfund, create a crisis, outsource to the lowest bidder. We are at the tipping point of the create a crisis, and I firmly believe, because he has been given another mandate, we are up against the real threat of privatization of our public education system. We cannot and must not let that happen. Under my leadership, we will be ready to confront this government at the bargaining table. We will be ready to organize, to mobilize, and if necessary, we will take bold action. Because we're not just fighting for wages and for working conditions, we're fighting to protect the very soul of public education. Our collective agreements expire August 30th, 2026. That may feel very far away, but it is not. Our preparation starts now. The government is already laying the groundwork to attack our rights, weaken our bargaining power, and force through more cuts. But we've been here before. We've stood strong before, and we will stand strong again. We will show this government that when they come for one of us, they come for all of us. Because when education workers unite, we don't just defend public education, we transform it. So here's what we need from every single one of you. First of all, we need you to get involved. We need you to attend your meetings, stay informed, and connect with your union. We need you to mobilize your coworkers, have the conversations, build relationships, organize. We need to call out the lies. We need to let this government stop blaming us, and we need to speak truth to power, and we need to be ready to act. Whether it's a rally, it's a demonstration, or a strike, we must be prepared. Doug Ford wants us to be silent. He wants us to be divided. He wants us to believe that nothing can change. But he's wrong. We are education workers. We are OSSTF members. We are the heartbeat of public education, and when we stand together, we win. Our goal is simple. Every education worker and every student must come home safe every day. Our schools must be properly staffed. Our schools must be properly funded. And our union, we need to be fearless. So let's fight, let's organize, and let's lead, because our students, our schools, and our future depend on it. Solidarity. So I'm just going to have Bill talk about the petition real quick, and back to you, Joey. Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, my name is Bill Hewitt. I work at provincial office as a regional organizer, and I've really had the joy of working with this light is really bright. Of working with some of your members, with Hannah and Chris and Ben. I worked with Ben a lot during the provincial election, yeah. So thank you to all of you. This petition is a call to the school board, the Ottawa Carleton School Board. We're doing this across the province. We're looking to get thousands and thousands of signatures What this is asking the school board trustees to do is send a letter to the Minister of Education demanding that our students are properly funded. The core education funding, used to be called the Grants for Student Needs, are currently $1,500 less than what they should be if they're not keeping up with inflation, essentially. So we're asking for three things on this petition. Increase the investment in public education by increasing the per student funding, provide immediate and dedicated funding to the growing backlogs of school repair and maintenance, and end the retention and recruitment crisis that exists. The unfilleds that go every day in your schools, those sorts of things will all get fixed. Those three key things will all get fixed with an increase in the per student funding. So, but what does $1,500 a student look like? Somebody, if I can open my phone, somebody shout out to me right now where you work. Sorry, I heard what was that? Chapman Mills. Okay, Chapman Mills is, come on, internet. Chapman Mills is underfunded by so $1,500 a student means Chapman Mills receives $1.13 million less per year than it should have. So, and that's one school. I've done this for Longfield Davidson Secondary School. Obviously, it's a big school, but it's over $2 million. So we need to. You experience this every day in your schools, whether the PSSU folks, the custodian and maintenance folks are told not to put out so much toilet paper, whether you folks are being reassigned to cover when they can't have another supply EA. These are all very real things, whether students don't get the supports that they need. So please sign this petition. There will be a link coming to you as well that you can send it out to friends and family and community members in your neighborhood to get it to sign, and we are going to be continuing to push. Thank you very much.
So we asked our membership to send us photographs of themselves at their job with their teams, showing us the pride in the work that they do. We were lucky enough to have several submissions, and members send us some wonderful photos that highlight the amazing and important work that you all do. You'll also notice some very fun photos of some from our PD Day last year in person, and this day is all about all of you, so we wanted to highlight that through this video. Enjoy. I would now like to welcome our last speaker of the morning to the stage. I'd like to call on Tammy Piche, Second Executive Officer and Chair of the SSP Awards Committee, to talk about SSP Awards.
Good morning, everybody. It's not too bright. I'm a little shorter than everybody else. For those who don't know me, I'm Tammy Piche, and I'm your Second Executive Officer. And we are here to celebrate you. It's not very often that all of the SSP members get together, whether it be in person or online, so it's great to be here. As part of my portfolio, it is to do the SSP Awards. Every month you get an email from Natalie at the head office, and it has a Google form in there, and all you do is click on it and choose one word to describe somebody that you work with, obviously positive. So for those of you who do not open those emails, and I know there's some of you out there, I encourage you to do so. It's not every day that we get to hear positive things about us, so yeah, I encourage you to do that. With that being said, it's because I'm short. With that being said, if you were ever nominated for a spotlight or a shout out, please stand up. So any monthly award that you were ever nominated for, this is going back years, so. And those for you online, I don't know if you can put it in the chat or not, but we also want to thank you as well. We could not have done it without the nominator. So if you ever nominated somebody, please stand up. Awesome, thank you. Some people have asked me, how do I go about picking all of the names that we see every month? Well, I started with those free spinners way back when, yeah, it was cool to do all those free spinners. It was taking too long. So now I actually get the hundreds chart from my room, put it up on the board, and during lunch, the kids get to pick a number. So they get so excited about it. It's fantastic. They ask me every week, when are we doing it? When are we doing it? So the 100 chart goes up, they pick a number, they have to say the number, and if they don't know, we all help them out. And yeah, that's how they get picked. So it's pretty fun. With that being said, there's only 3 months left of school. So every month I want to see you nominate somebody. Let's put some smiles on people's faces. In end of April, May, we are going to do our annual SSP Awards. This is going to be another Google form that goes out to your principals. The principals are supposed to send it to everybody. We know sometimes it doesn't happen that way. So I will hopefully be sending them out to the site reps. The site reps will can post it to their conference. And please let everybody know that they can anybody who is an anybody OCDSB staff member can nominate. So in the past, we've had custodians, we've had teachers, we've had IEAs, we've had supervisors nominate an EA or an ECE. And you can do it as many times as you want. It doesn't have to be for just one person. There might be a couple people that you are like, yeah, I think this person deserves an award. So yeah, that is, Joey says, let's go. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. Lastly, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank every one of you. Without you working with our youngest children or our young adults, none of the children would be successful. So thank you. There we go.
So just before I welcome Makhena and DJ Makwa back to the stage to close our morning with a surprise performance, I would just like to remind people that following the performance, some of our members are going to go to their breakout sessions. I know it was a little confusing this year because the keynote is happening in here at the same time as other workshops. So if you did sign up for the keynote, stay here, come closer. Meghan doesn't bite. And for the rest of you, after the performance, you'll be heading over to the studios for your workshops. And people from the team will be there to guide you if you're not sure. On the wall just outside also has the list of the workshops. So welcome back to Makhena and DJ Makwa.
Test, test. Test, test. All right. We are not done just quite yet. So There's this style of dance done at powwows called the intertribal dance. And this dance is open to everyone, all cultures, all ages, and all genders. So today, I would like to show you how to do the intertribal dance so that if ever you come to a powwow, I'm hoping that you'll be less shy to come and join us, okay? So it's 4 steps. That's it. Super simple. You can't really see me. There we go. So we're going to go on our tippy toes. First of all, 1 foot on our tippy toes, and then we put our foot flat. All right, other foot now. Go on our tippy toes, and then put our foot flat. Feel free to try it while sitting down, but it's 4 steps, that's it. All right? Tippy toes, flat feet, tippy toes, flat feet. 1, 2, 1, 2. Super simple, right? Right, so Caleb, put the music up. I want us to imagine that the ground is our drum and our feet are the drumsticks. All right? So I really want you to focus on hitting the ground whenever you hear that drum. Now, in our culture, the drum represents the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And it's supposed to remind us of the first sound that we ever heard when we were in our mother's womb, listening to her heartbeat. So if the sound of the drum brings you a certain sense of peace, that is probably why. All right, so since the intertribal is really easy, I'd like to add a couple of more moves. But if you come to a powwow and want to dance the intertribal, now you know what to do. All right, so we're gonna go side to side. Bring 1 foot to the side, back to the middle, other side, back to the middle. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, beautiful. Doesn't have to go too far. Awesome. All right, next move. We're gonna put our heel on the ground, toes pointing up. Back to the center. Other foot, back to the center. So all together. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. If it's a little too fast, you can also hit it every second beat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Beautiful. So in our culture, we consider dancing good medicine. We consider movement good medicine. It brings us good emotions, gets our body moving. Good for our health, good for our mind, good for our spirit. All right, let's go back to the intertribal, tippy toes, flat feet. Don't be afraid to add your own style into it. Awesome, let's go side to side. Side, 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 yeah. All right, let's move to the heels. Heel, heel, heel. Awesome, keep it up. All right, let's go back to the intertribal. Tippy toes, flat feet. Awesome, song's almost done. So let's finish off with a freestyle. Means you dance the way you want to dance. You don't know what to do? Intertribal is more than enough. All right, give yourselves a round of applause. Wow. And let's give another big round of applause to DJ Makwa. And another big round of applause to Joey.
So if you are staying for Megan Stewart's workshop, you can stay right here where you are, come closer, You'll get a better view, and everyone else, please enjoy your Session 1 workshops. Not herself, but Greg is. All right, so for those of you staying for our opening session with Meghan, feel free to come a little closer if you want. And I'm just going to ask, sorry, the people just chatting with Makhena and DJ Makwa, we're just getting started. So, yeah, exactly, clearly. So I'm really thrilled to announce our keynote speaker this year. So Meghan Stewart is a certified lead coach through Unified Mindfulness located in Ottawa on unceded and unsurrendered Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory. Identifying as she, her, Meghan is a multiracial Black woman with Jamaican heritage. She includes over 15 years of experience within human resources, hospitality, philanthropy, and all of her projects and offerings. She continues to partner with and support people and organizations that aim to minimize suffering and harm within humanity and nature. Her philanthropy experiences include advertising for Uniting Children and Youth, an active member in the OCDSB Advisory Committee on Equity, a temporary role in 2020 as the chair for the Parents for Diversity executive, and is now an active volunteer within their education committee. In 2021, she launched the Mindful Educator Program as part of the new teacher induction program for the school boards across Canada, including the Ottawa Catholic School Board and Durham District School Board. In 2022, she partnered with Dale Allen to create the Thrive Learning Program for youth and educators that fuses restorative justice and the foundations of inclusive wellness practices and approaches. They are currently facilitating this program within schools in the Ottawa-Gatineau area. Featured in CBC as one of the 10 women in the Ottawa area, building community by supporting and promoting wellness. Mindfulness is accessible to harness in our emancipation of mental slavery. It empowers self-awareness, self-mastery, and equanimity. So I'm very pleased to welcome Meghan.
Welcome, everyone. Do we want the door open, Joey? Do we care? No, we want that was I was like, it'll be like a little bit of like a challenge to meditate with that, which is what you want, because in real life, that is what's happening, right? We're not always sitting up on a mountain somewhere where it's nice and quiet. We are typically managing, I have 2 kids myself, you are juggling all of the children that you're supporting, all of your peers, and all of the other external stimulus. So, you know, we could maybe play with that, but for the purpose of today, so you can actually maximize the fact that you're not paying for a session with me, but you get this nice intimate setting, we're gonna keep the door closed. So that you can bring it to the classroom when you have to use it, really. So, I got a fancy thing here. What do? Do I point it at it? Hello? I don't know how to change the slides. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I wrote some stuff down because I know myself. So I may read a bit, but I may also come down and see you, invite you up, invite you to engage. So please do so. It definitely is always a pleasure. This is my 3rd year, I think, back. And it's always a pleasure to be able to connect with all of you. I always learn something myself as well. So although I'm here with my credentials and experiences, which are very valuable, I do really value your input. I value your engagement, and I honestly have so much love for educators. And I know you're all here for the same reasons as me, I'm pretty sure. So let's start with our land acknowledgement. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. The Algonquin peoples have been the stewards of this land for millennia, and their presence here continues to this day. We are grateful to them and to all Indigenous peoples for their continued care of the land. Recognizing this land and its original inhabitants is a crucial first step towards reconciliation. However, we must go beyond acknowledgement and commit to restorative justice, actively supporting Indigenous sovereignty, rights, and healing. By understanding our shared history and how it has shaped our present, we can work together towards a future based on mutual respect, healing, and solidarity. So, why am I here today? What am I talking about? I changed my presentation and my offering a bit. I recently enrolled into university. I have had a little bit of a, I don't know what you want to call it, challenging relationship with education based on some trauma that I experienced going through school myself. I didn't have a lot of educators that were champions for me. I didn't have a lot of experiences that empowered my agency, my autonomy, my learning. I had some racist, either physical or verbal attacks when I was in school from educators myself. I'm 41, so I grew up in the 80s, going to school here. If you know, you know what I'm talking about. A very different time. And often in my academic experience, I would be penalized for not necessarily how I achieved the outcome of assignments that I was given, like, for example, writing assignments. It was what I was writing about. My father came to Canada from Jamaica, and when he got here, he became a peacekeeper. So he joined the armed forces, and he traveled. And he was very world knowledgeable, and he constantly would have us in the house, I'm the oldest of 3, practice critical engagement and critical analysis and critical thought. And so what that looked like is what I'm experiencing now in university for the first time. I've done college, I've done my mindfulness certifications. I wanted to go to university for a long time, but my experiences with it, there was, and I'm telling you this for context, because this is just the lasting damage sometimes of psychologically of what happens when we are told that we can't do certain things, or when we are silenced, and when our voices and what lights us up is framed with a narrative that can be harmful. And so essentially, when I was going to school and I had those comments from my educators, I didn't realize subconsciously that they were playing in the background for me as I grew and got older and so on. So I did comfortable college courses, business marketing, hotel restaurant management, human resources, but I've always wanted to do psychology. But there weren't a lot of Black bodies in psychology and therapy. There's also the cultural stigmas. There's also, can I do university? Because when I was in school, I was brought down to, I don't know if you remember these, I don't think they do this anymore, but there were like advanced, and then there were, what are they called, the other? General and advanced, right. So I was always kind of placed down to general. So I came into university and I was like, well, high school, I'm just never gonna go to university, it's not a thing. My guidance counselor, same thing, discouraged me as well. Just do something you're comfortable with. Do something that you're good at, that you're natural at. Not much challenge, not much encouragement, not much reinforcement, right? So now here I am, 41, with 2 girls, beautiful daughters. I had my second daughter in January last year. So if you joined my video, you would have seen I was in the depths of postpartum last February with a newborn baby when I provided that recording, but it was important for me to be here for you all. And then in that journey, I decided I'm gonna go back to school, right? What happens when you have kids? You decide to do crazy things. So I was like, I'm gonna go to school. So here I am with my 9-month-old. I've enrolled at St. Paul's for Human Relations and Spirituality, so I'm pursuing now my BA, specifically around psychology, and also doing a lot of social justice and anti-oppressive pedagogy approaches as well in that undertaking. So why am I here today? I did for many reasons, but I did a research paper recently, and I had my typical mindfulness presentation I was going to do for you, and I switched it up because this research paper really inspired me to focus specifically more on what's happening in the education system with you as educators and as well with our students, and then the overall system, okay? So I'm just going to read it so that I get all the points out. So I called it Reclaiming Emotional Sovereignty and Mindful Awareness, Responsibility and Connection in Education. It's a synthesis of research, lived experience, and the work I do with educators across systems who are navigating exhaustion. Who's navigating exhaustion here? Yeah, okay, every hand. For those online, I can't see you, but you can throw your hand up. Disconnection and a deep longing for something more humane and more honest. Did I nail it? Okay, I see some head shaking here. Oh yeah, in the chat, whoever's online, I will look after. This is not just about student behavior. It's not just about equity for marginalized youth, though that matters deeply. This is about the emotional well-being of all of us, our students, our colleagues, ourselves. Because the reality is, our current system often suppresses the emotional life of young people, especially those who are Black, Indigenous, neurodivergent, or otherwise seen as too much. I happen to be one of those kids that was also too much. You can tell by my earrings and my lipstick. Is it too much? Never too much, right? But what's often overlooked is that the same systems also suppress educators. You are expected to support others without adequate space to process your own grief, your fatigue, your humanity. The keynote asks, what if emotional sovereignty, our right to feel, express, and process emotion, wasn't treated as a disruption of learning, but a foundation of it? What if educators were supported in being human, not just professionals? What if we were allowed to reclaim our own connection to self, to story, and to each other? That's what today is about. I invite you into this space not just as professionals, but as people. You matter. Your well-being matters. And how you feel matters. I'll open with the words of Bell Hooks, who reminds us why we gather in rooms like this. The classroom remains the most radical space of possibility in the academy. Bell Hooks. If you don't know her, I will show you some of her books that I have referenced in this at the end. I did it before. How do I do it now? Anybody? Oh, the play button. Yes, winning, right? You all know what this is like because you have the kids and you got to get up and you got to know what you're doing, but you don't always. All right, so let's start by softening into this space together. Many of us came into education because we believe in growth, possibility, and care. Am I wrong? Am I right? Yeah, I see lots of big head nods. Amazing. We're all here for the same reason. Woohoo! And yet the systems we are part of often unintentionally cause harm. So we're going to take the case of a 6-year-old black girl in the Peel region who was handcuffed at school. I don't know if you remember that case. Yeah. The vicarious trauma of watching that video, I tell you. I choke up even just talking about it. The language used was de-escalation. So if you saw the police report, how they justified it, the language specifically was, well, that was, the way that we de-escalated the situation. So contemplatively, right? Contemplative practice is about being with not just what we're thinking, but how we feel. So embodying that for a moment, just noticing the body as you might be noticing the thought, either visual or that internal chatter that's happening in between the ears, right? As you bring that memory or you bring the story to the forefront of your being right now. So I offer you a question of contemplation. What are we actually de-escalating when we respond to a child's emotional expression with force? So just noticing in the body as you contemplate that question. Noticing in the mind how you hear those words, how you identify with the language, what visuals come up. Could be body temperature, physical sensations, could be emotions as well. What are we actually de-escalating when we respond to a child's emotional expression with force? And who gets to express emotions safely in our schools? You know, you're in the classrooms every day. You'll actually know more than me. These aren't isolated events. Across Ontario, race-based data reveals consistent disparities. Black and Indigenous students receive harsher discipline for the same behaviors. But harm isn't always loud. It's also found in who feels invisible, who gets labeled as too much, and whose needs go unmet. In October 2023, the Ontario Human Rights Commission released the report Dreams Deferred. It shared stories from over 1,000 students, educators, and families, and it tells us plainly anti-Black racism is deeply embedded in our education system. What becomes possible when we tell the truth about this, not to shame, but to heal? What does it mean to reimagine schools as places where emotional expression is honored, not punished? And not just for Black students, for all students. Where all students and all educators are allowed to feel, belong, and to be human. Because when we think about it, I did a field trip with my daughter's school the other day. They went to see Twin Flames. Has anybody seen Twin Flames, the Indigenous band? It's like a couple. Yeah, you've seen them. Amazing. So I'm on the school bus with the students, and she's in a grade 2-3 split. And so I'm with the grade 3s. And one of the students asked me, a white identifying student, asked me about the word monkey, because this has happened during Black History Month, about the word monkey and why is it problematic to refer to other people as monkey. And I saw the teacher, the supervisor teacher. I'm the chair of the school council. I'm extra annoying there. I'm that over-advocating mom that probably you're like, oh my God, here comes Meghan again. That's me, yeah. Doing too much, right? And I asked him, this is where anti-oppressive pedagogy models come into place, right? Where that critical analysis comes in and the room for him to feel and the other students to feel as well. I asked him, has he ever had an experience where he had been called something that created discomfort or hurt or sadness or fear or any of those emotions that we might deem as unpleasant? And he said, well, yes. And I said, well, when you use that type of language for any body, but particular Black bodies, because there's a history behind it, and I explained to him the history, I said, harm is done in that. I said, are you intentionally trying to create harm with your classmates? Or any emotions that you're describing here that you're also experiencing? And he said, no. And we just had a very honest conversation on the bus about feelings and how we feel when we experience certain things like that. And that was rooted in radical empathy, in the ability for me to see him and connect with him and how he felt. And also identify with him. You know, sometimes we kind of got to it in like an 8-year-old kid's way of exploring it, that he had a need for belonging and connection. And so sometimes that looks like doing things like that to fit in, right? And my daughter, who's a melanated body, had come home and told me multiple times he'd use the N-word and so on. And she's like, ugh, I'm just like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, instead of going immediately into, as a parent for me, instead of immediately going into let's condemn the child for using the language, I approach it with curiosity. First, acknowledge her feelings. How did you feel when you heard that? And then secondly, what do you think it is, the need that he might have had behind using such language? She's like, I don't know, Mom. I said, well, let's explore it. I said, what do you think your need was when you heard that language? And I'm going to get into why I'm talking about feelings and needs. Don't worry, I promise. I'm not going to leave you hanging here. But the point of what I'm saying is it actually does no justice to him as well, or any of her white peers in the school, in the class that she's in, having that experience present, or having that experience in a way where we're condemning him, or we're not talking about it, or we're avoiding. Because essentially what happens is he's also not learning how to create a strategy to express his emotions and meet his needs as well. And so nobody, even though there's layers of privilege, right? Nobody's benefiting from those harmful behaviors unaddressed, and from the emotions and the needs that might be underlying when these things occur. So does that mean, yes, we have to hold them accountable, and yes, we have to, say, hey, let's talk about this not being a thing that continues to happen, right? Absolutely. But my point is it actually does no justice to any of the students, racialized bodies or not, to not address these types of situations, and to not disrupt, like basically anything that you're doing as educators, or the system's doing, to decolonize the education experience and create an anti-oppressive environment, and create justice where there's injustice, and invite equity in when there's inequity. It actually benefits all the students. Disrupting things like patriarchal beliefs about boys being able to express emotions, right? Like sadness or crying. Or that boys are allowed to feel, Bell Hooks talks about it, boys are allowed to feel emotions like love. It's not a woman's emotion, not a girl's emotion, right? In a heteronormative dynamic, of course. That actually does them justice as well, because then they're able to explore love and sadness. And they're able to move out of that as well and explore all of the beingness of their human beingness, essentially. So it actually does everybody justice. Everybody benefits, right? Beneficial or necessary for some, but beneficial for all. All right. I'm going to go back to this, this report, because it actually, the Human Rights Commission of Ontario actually, what's the word I want to use, released it yesterday. So it's got some call to action, 29 call to actions for educators, the school board, and so on and so forth around anti-Black racism. So if you're interested in it, I highly recommend you look into it. So this report is based on 1,300 survey responses and dozens of in-depth interviews with students, families, educators across the province. It lays out clearly, unapologetically, that anti-Black racism is not an occasional failure. It is embedded in the very fabric of Ontario's public education system. The report includes first-hand accounts from students describing schools as sites of hyper-surveillance, disproportionate discipline, and chronic emotional harm. Educators have also shared stories of isolation, burnout, and feeling unsupported when they speak up about racism. Does that happen? Do we think that happens? I've heard it. I've met with the Black Educator Networks, Black Employee Networks, and I hear a lot of that, but I also hear it from non-Black educators. Analysis paralysis, right? I don't know what to do. Am I doing the right thing? Oh my gosh, right? And psychologically, a part of oppression is things like learned helplessness, where we look at everything, oh my God, I just can't take it on, I don't know what to do. So these are not just anecdotes, this is data, this is reality. So when I talk about emotional sovereignty, it's not just about a lofty idea, it is a necessary intervention. Because if we're serious about student well-being, we have to reckon with the structures that deny certain students the right to feel safe, seen, and supported in the first place. If you haven't engaged with the report yet, I encourage you to read it, not just for the findings, but for the stories. They're beautiful and moving and sad and all the feelings. So I'm going to give you some mindfulness practices that maybe you can be in your feelings, in your body, in your mind, and bring that mindful awareness to it as you're reading these stories as well. Let them inform your practice, your policies, and your relationships. It's not about shame, it's about truth-telling, and truth-telling is where transformation begins. All right. So reclaiming emotional sovereignty and contemplative pedagogy as resistance. What is alive in us? So as you're exploring your visual palette here, stimulus, as you're looking at my slides, take a moment just to notice what's going on within you. And if you can just shout out one word, a feeling word. How do you feel? How are you landing? What's alive in you right now? Say it again. Excitement. It could be warm, cool, bouncy, restful, calm, whatever it is, a feeling word. So I got excited. What else? Joyful. Curious. Hopeful. Any more feeling words? How's our bodies? Heavy, light, warm. Sorry? Energized. Relaxed. What's the other one? I heard another one up there. Nobody? Okay. Sorry? Okay. So, it's okay. So, is anybody familiar with Leanne Simpson as a writer? She's an Indigenous writer. I came across her in my research. So, her quote here, intelligence flows through relationships. This is an Indigenous belief and a practice. And the reason that I'm using this quote around emotional sovereignty is because emotions are also intelligence. What do we think about that? Yeah, I see a head nod. Why the head nod? Why do we think? Why do we agree with that? Why is emotion intelligence to you? There's no wrong answer. When we feel something, we're acknowledging something in our mind, in our body. What was the last part? And we're learning from it. Right. Helps us explore. We're taking it in. It's providing us insight. It's providing us insight to where we are. Right? Okay. So emotional sovereignty is our right to feel, name, and express what is true for us without being silenced, punished, or made small. In many educational spaces, especially for Black and Indigenous youth, emotions are labeled as disruptive. But what if emotions are not disruptions? What if they are wisdom, as you've just described? So Leanne speaks to this in her work. She teaches that intelligence lives in relationships, not only between people, but between land, story. And loving the yeps. Keep it coming. Movement and emotion. In Indigenous oral traditions, learning is not disembodied. It's not extracted. It is relational and alive. Dr. Jennifer Mullen also reminds us, she wrote a book called Decolonizing Therapy. She lives in New York, so she's talking about the American landscape. She's a good friend of mine. She's phenomenal. It's a great read. Definitely more for people that are studying psych or therapists, but highly recommended either way if you want a nice read over the summer. She also reminds us that emotions like grief and rage are not dysfunction, they are data. How many of us have been taught that anger and rage and grief are bad emotions? I grew up hearing that. I grew up hearing that they are bad. Anger, right? I also recognize that the stereotype of the angry Black woman, we've heard this before, the angry Black woman stereotype that gets sometimes placed on Black women, right? For me, I would play small and try to repress and suppress the anger so that I could avoid getting that label. Like I can control other people's ability to not stereotype or judge me, right? No, that's not real. That's not realistic. But it does impact us psychologically. So we're doing things like that maybe subconsciously as a self-protection mechanism, right? But they are absolutely data. They are survival. So she names the ancestral harm of systems that have taught us to hide when we feel to stay safe. So when I talk about emotional sovereignty, I'm not just talking about feelings, I'm talking about our right to exist fully, for students, for educators, for all of us. Contemplative pedagogy helps us do this. It invites stillness, breath, reflection, not as performance, but as resistance to the rush, the numbness, and the overworking that disconnects us from ourselves and each other. When I speak about emotional sovereignty, I mean the right to feel, to name, you can see it here, feel, name, process, and to express our emotions without fear of punishment or dismissal. In many school systems, emotional expression, especially from Black and Indigenous children, is labeled as defiance or disruption rather than an invitation for connection. I heard something is, anybody recommended the Parent Resource Center, this circle of security? Anybody ever recommended that to a parent? So my husband and I actually did that course with Miriam's team there. It's absolutely phenomenal. I highly recommend it. She said something that's always stuck with me. The kids that need the love the most might ask for it in the worst ways. Right? And I tell you, my daughter, she's got some stuff going on. She's also diagnosed with ADHD, my oldest. Sometimes she wears me down and I pop. It happens, right? The constant yelling, you know. But with her ADHD and also some trauma that she's been through, there is a state of hyperarousal, meaning like always in survival, always in defense. And sometimes how that comes out is even the slightest bit of discomfort, and she's screaming. Anybody ever work with a student where you've introduced like some learning to them? It's like a new piece of learning. Maybe it's shapes. You've moved on to shapes, and it's the first time they're seeing shapes. And you sit down with them, and it's a meltdown. Or they're doing a piece of art or an assignment, and they haven't done well, and they're ripping up the paper, and they're scribbling all over it. I see all the head nods, right? Again, like goosebumps listening to, yeah, okay, I'm not isolated in these experiences, right? Often that's just an expression of a need they might have. And if we look at it like data, right? Let's do this together. When we look at that, what are some of the things that you do now, or what are some of the things just from what I've been sharing so far that come to mind for you if you were to be in that experience, let's say again, you know, on Monday? What are some of the things that come to mind? What strategies did you use? Talk to me at ECEs. I know you're doing amazing things out there. What insights come for you as well as you hear this? So now you're with a student, they're doing something, it's the first time you're introducing it to them, they're having a meltdown. What do we do? Sorry? Be patient. Okay, what does patience mean to you? So finding your own center and making sure that that child knows that you're there for them. Okay, so affirming with them, hey, it sounds like you're frustrated. Sounds like you're disappointed with maybe the outcome of this, right? Whatever that emotion is that maybe you can empathize with, right? Giving them language. So they're feeling it, naming it for them. It sounds like you're feeling, right? Yes, and you bring up a really good point. So I'm going to agree and challenge it a bit. I'm going to give you a third option, right? I always say, okay, you know, we think sometimes it's this or it's that, but sometimes there's a third path, a third way, right? So my daughter has a therapist, and she's given us this feedback, and I'm obviously studying psychology too now, so I'm learning a bit more about what this looks like. So we want to be mindful of, are we telling them the feeling words for them and not honoring their agency and autonomy to be able to find the words themselves? However, we also have to keep in mind that emotions, like as language and being able to name them, just like you're showing shapes, we don't have a list of emotions always available. If you do in the classroom, congratulations, you are the most amazing ECEs I've ever met. But it's not in the curriculum that we have a poster typically that says, pause everyone, How are we feeling? Go to the board, point to it, right? And let's explore how each child, each of us might express that. Because I might express grief and disappointment very differently from you. So sometimes, yes, we can empathize and go, oh, that looks like disappointment. And we can go, and give them that, and or ask them, right? So there is a delicate way, obviously, that we can do it. But I definitely do encourage that in some way you give them something to be able to identify and name it. Because it's not the norm in all of our households. My household's very different. We have a whole board, I'll show you what the board looks like, of feelings and needs, right? But that's not typically the norm in our society. It's just not the norm. We also have to think about scientific colonialism. I don't want to get into it, but specifically what that means is how colonialism has come into things like psychology and how psychology has been used as a weapon. There is history of it, there's research, there's data. I can give you some case studies. I'm not going to get into it now because that's not my presentation today, right? And why I'm saying that is I think about the quote Marcus Garvey shares that Bob Marley sings. Does everybody know Redemption Song? Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. I'm not a great singer, but I love karaoke, right? So that quote, before, for example, my ancestors, black ancestors, are multiracial. So half of them were colonizers, half of them were enslaved Africans. But on my dad's side, before we were enslaved here, we were enslaved up here, right? And so a lot of the things that we see in society, why contemplative pedagogy is so important, why we empower our children's critical thinking and critical analysis skills, and why we want to amplify that and raise that up for them, right, is in their ability to think for themselves. I go into high schools a lot and I see, I'll use, for example, the young girls. I see this with the boys. I'll give something different with the boys. And often it's what they see on social media, what they see in general, like media platforms and so on, pop culture and so on like that, that is considered the norm, right? That is built around scarcity. So for example, if you go to, Sephora is nuts now for makeup. Nuts! I don't even know how, I don't do any of that stuff, like the shading and the outlining, I don't know, anyways. You go in for an eyebrow powder, it's like $80 later, and I see the teenage girls going into Sephora, even younger and younger and younger and younger, buying these beauty products. Who's seen this before, right? Who has kids and knows what I'm talking about. The acne treatment medication, the skincare, then we get into the clothing and all of that. All of these things creating consumerism that feeds into capitalism, fuel psychological scarcity that I will be enough when. How many of us have done I had a baby like 15 months ago. I'll be enough when I lose 10 pounds. Who's heard that in their own head? I'll be enough when I have this certification. I'll be enough when, my partner loves me in this way or my kids show me in this, right? All of these things, if it's in our subconscious and it's not identified and brought forward and we don't look at emotions and somatic sensations and thoughts as a way to inform us and provide insight on, how am I making this decision? Like, from what place am I making this decision from? And we don't empower that in our students. We see the self-harm, right? Even further, I've seen extreme cases like suicide and so on, right? Sexual assault. These things happen in schools and in our communities at these younger ages. So this is really, really important, not just for the students that you're teaching, but also for you to embody within yourself, right? Okay, so I'm gonna share a little bit more about Leanne, then I'm gonna move on. So she's a Michi-Sagig Nishnabeg scholar, artist, and writer. She beautifully embodies this in her work. She reminds us that knowledge isn't something we extract, it's something we relate to. In her words, intelligence flows through relationships between living entities. Simpson shares how learning in Indigenous traditions happens through story, song, movement, land, and emotion. It's not detached, it's embodied. Oral traditions like the ones many of our ancestors relied on are not less than, they are deep wells of relational knowledge. This is emotional sovereignty in action. When knowledge is allowed to live in our bodies, our voices, and our grief, our joy, this connects to contemplative pedagogy, which is the integration of mindfulness, inner awareness, and critical reflection into teaching. Not to make students calm or compliant. That's the key here. Sometimes we've seen this. We're doing mindfulness to get calm. That's not why you do it. and we'll do a practice together and I'll explain it. But to disrupt systems of emotional erasure. This is a pedagogy of resistance. When we slow down, listen inwardly, and create space for authentic expression, we resist the rush, the suppression, and the harm that so often defines school culture. I also want to again bring in the voice of Dr. Jennifer Mullen, who coined the term decolonizing therapy. She reminds us that systems rooted in colonization, like education and mental health, have historically treated emotional expression as dangerous, especially in racialized bodies. So she writes that our rage, our grief, our tears, these are not dysfunctions, they are data, they are survival. Dr. Mullen calls this work of reclaiming our right to feel a form of ancestral healing. She reminds us that many of us, especially those carrying generational trauma, were taught that silence, emotional suppression, or invisibility were required for safety. So when we teach or parent from a place of honoring emotion, we're not just supporting regulation, we're participating in repair. How do we feel about that? You are participating in repair. How do we feel? I want a feeling word when we hear that. Could even be curious. What? Sorry? Honored. Sorry? Considerate. Yes, considerate. Absolutely. Even compassionate, right? All right. So I just alluded to it. What is mindfulness? So we're going to do a meditation practice called See, Hear, Feel. So I am a certified teacher trainer under Unified Mindfulness, which is a body of mindfulness teaching, a community that is out of the States. The reason that I chose Unified Mindfulness out of all of the mindfulness designations and schooling that I could have possibly gone with, nothing potentially wrong with John Kabat-Zinn, but there is access barriers. For example, you have to pay to get into his programs and university and so on, the model that he had created. Unified Mindfulness offers scholarships. They also bring in scholars like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget her name, Rhonda V. McGee. She is a law professor out of the States. She wrote a book called The Inner Work of Racial Justice, where it fuses mindfulness and racial justice together. And that's how I actually fell upon Unified Mindfulness, is because they were doing a workshop with her, and I was like, I've been saying this forever, that mindfulness and social justice go together, but I have never heard anybody talk about it. And so I stumbled upon it, and because of that, as I explored Unified Mindfulness and their practices, they were really, really accessible to neurodivergent individuals, to individuals with racialized trauma in general, and just all ages, right? Because we want our kids to be able to access these practices. So, mindful awareness is our ability to pay attention on purpose without judgment using these three particular skills. Not in any particular order. They're going to be interchangeable as we do the practice. Concentration, which is our ability to turn towards ourselves. Sensory clarity. So in any experience you're having, and I've already alluded to it, there are three sensory categories. One is see. So not just seeing, you're looking at me, you're looking at the screen. If you close your eyes, you might even see, like I see the light, I see kind of the outline of bodies. So that's that sense of seeing if we were looking at the five senses. But see in, what do we think see in is? That projector screen in the mind, right? Sometimes it's blank. If you notice as we do the practice that your mental screen or any sensory category I'm going to go through is blank, nothing's present, even just the noticing, because it's a noticing practice, even just the noticing is enough. What are you noticing? What category does it belong to? So see is the first one. The second one is, I'm going to go on because I think I put it here. There we go. See is our first one. The second one is hear. And the third one is feel. So hear, same thing. Hear in, so that mental, that inner chatter between the ears, right? That could be analyzing right now, going through what you're going to make for dinner, maybe what groceries you need to get, Other mental stories of, oh, I can't wait to bring this back to the classroom, or oh my gosh, I'm feeling shame for what I've done. I could have been doing this differently. Whatever that mental chatter is that you're going through right now, in between your ears is also here. Could even be song, could even be, sometimes I just have random like lyrics I can't get out of my head, tunes, sounds, right? Feel, we've also talked about, I said I want feeling words. How often do we say, I feel like, you aren't respecting me right now. Or I feel like the room is, et cetera, et cetera. That's not a feeling word. That's not a feeling word. So when we get into feelings, why I said there's a third way as well, is we often normalize certain language, but it's actually not feeling words. So this is where contemplation comes in. Oh, what am I actually, what is a feeling word? When your student says, how are you feeling, miss? Somebody give me their name. Megan. Oh, Megan, hey, Megan, are you with an H? M-E-G-H-A-N? M-E-H-G-A-N. I love that. That's the first time I've heard that. I like that, okay. So Miss Megan, how are you feeling? Give me a feeling word. You see, it's challenging, right? So this goes to your point. You're feeling many different things. That is also the truth. You're skipping ahead. We're about to do the meditation. No, you're not supposed to skip ahead. You're skipping ahead, Miss Megan. I swear I didn't give her my notes before, even though we have the same name. We feel many things, right? How powerful is that to share with our children, too? How many of us have, I've experienced loss, right? And you're at either an honoring of life or a funeral or something, and you're feeling gratitude and also grief and sadness. You're also feeling connection, empathy, intimacy, love, again, sadness, right? We're not one thing, we're many things. So we're going to experience this in the practice. We're going to experience this in the practice together. Okay, so I'm going to be standing up to do it, but I encourage you to sit down. If your feet are able to be on the ground, again, we honored all bodies. Not all bodies are able bodies, and that's totally fine. You find the posture that supports you the most. If you have the ability to bring the discipline into your posture, meaning we don't want to fall asleep in a meditation, because what are the 3 skills we're practicing? Concentration, sensory clarity. What am I seeing, hearing, and feeling, right? What am I seeing, hearing, and feeling? And our last skill is equanimity, which is the ability to accept what comes up, that I am feeling all kinds of things, that my mind is very busy right now, right? Whatever that is, the equanimity is that compassion of, oh, I got lost in my thoughts. Okay, let me start over again. It's all okay. What I'm feeling is okay. What's coming up in my mind space is okay. It's all okay. I don't need to change it, control it, do anything with it. I'm just noticing. Just noticing over and over and over again. All right? So for those at home that are watching virtually, find a posture that is disciplined if you can. I recommend something that can allow you to sit up and have your feet on the ground, like we talked about, rooting down. So although we are on carpet and so on and so forth, we are rooting down into the earth. Right? We are connected to the earth. And so feet on the ground, 10 toes down, if you have 10 toes, of course. And allowing for, almost like I've come around and I've put a string just at the crown of your head, stretching up that spine. And on your next exhale, closing the eyes and allowing on that exhale, on that release of the breath, for the shoulders to come down. If eyes closed doesn't support you, it's okay to either turn away or have a gaze that's more restful. We just want to minimize external stimulus as much as possible. Just for the sake of today, we know that's not always how it's going to work. But when we can be with it in kind of like a controlled environment where I'm guiding you, you can transfer it more likely into the classroom. All right. So closing your eyes or finding that restful gaze. Turning towards yourself, that's the concentration. Noticing as you move through the body and the mind what you might be seeing, hearing, or feeling. I'm hearing the children in the hallway. And as you do this and you move through the sensory categories and bring that equanimity to whatever comes up, sometimes, oh, well, I shouldn't be hearing anything, or I shouldn't have any thoughts. What does that fall under? Hear, because that's that inner chatter. So you're just going to use that one word label, hear. And as you take another couple of breaths, just following that sensory signal, noticing, are you seeing, hearing, or feeling anything? Almost like organizing. I love organizing. So if we had like different colored jars, one was see, one was hear, one was feel, drop that marble in that jar with that one word, see, hear, or feel out loud or in your mind, and give some pace in between every few breaths. So give that a try for a couple of minutes yourself. And again, it's just that one word, see, hear, or feel. And even if you notice the absence of, so I'm not feeling anything, I'm not seeing anything, I'm not hearing anything, the fact that you've even had that come to your awareness, what category does it belong to? What are you not experiencing sensorially? So just saying it in your mind, see, or hear, or feel. And if you got lost in thought or you're noticing fatigue, you can straighten your posture, maybe do a little wiggle, bring yourself back, start over again. That's the equanimity. Start over as much as you need to. Remembering this is wisdom, this is knowledge. This is insight. And just simply, what am I seeing, hearing, or feeling? And it's going to change, and it's going to be many things. And if all three show up at one time, just pick one of the categories. So if you have lots of thoughts and lots of feelings, bringing equanimity to maybe one of them. So the see and the hear. So the thoughts, and then bringing your awareness to the feel. Maybe grounding in breath, noticing the breath, feel. Taste, touch, and smell are also feel. All right, and gently and lovingly, when you're ready, wiggling the toes, wiggling the fingers, fluttering the eyes open, maybe rolling the shoulders back. All right. What did we notice? What did we notice? What did we notice in ourselves? Anybody care to share? Say that again, sorry? Calm. Okay, calm. Yeah. You noticed calm. How did you notice calm? Tell me how you noticed calm. You felt relaxed. And for those that can't see her, she did this. She said, I felt relaxed, and she laid her head back. Right? So even the somatic reaction of that is important. Is important. What else? Yes. You felt joy, and where did joy show up in your body? Yeah. Flowy, amazing. Oh, I love that. Flowy, he imagined skipping happening, the children skipping as he heard them go by, and the joy was moving through his body, flowing. right? So it wasn't like a stagnant, but it was like a constant moving through the body. Amazing. Beautiful. And we experience joy differently as individuals, right? So the reason I'm asking for the details is the subtle actually really matters. That's informing him, oh, okay, flow. I'm noticing flow in my body. Right? Anyone else before we move on? Any questions about the practice? Okay, awesome. Anybody feel discomfort? Restlessness, maybe? Yeah. It's actually very common to feel almost like a flood of anxiousness and restlessness at the beginning of a practice, especially when we're used to going all the time, right? All right, anybody heard of nonviolent communication? Yes, I'm gonna introduce it to you in a little bit of a different way, okay? Here to disrupt and allow for some contemplation. That's me, the alchemist of disruption. All right, so these are feeling words. These are feeling words. What do we think about this? That's a lot of words, right? Sorry? For a child, it's overwhelming. So you had a thought that for a child, this might be overwhelming. You had a thought that for an adult, there's a lot. Yes. Beautiful. So we're having some thoughts right now. I love this. What are we feeling as we're having these thoughts? There's always growth. So we had a thought that there's always growth. What are we feeling? I need a feeling word. They're up on the board. Hint, hint. You said overwhelm. Excited. Intrigued. You got feeling words. What are we feeling? It's like your cheat sheet right now. Accomplished. What else? Empowered. What else? Anxiety. Yeah, you said overwhelmed, so absolutely valid as well. Well, I'm glad nobody said uninterested so far. I'm still doing something right here. All right. So, nonviolent communication, or NVC, is typically taught as a tool, right? You observe, you name a feeling, you express a need, and you make a request. But for me, this is not a tool. It's a way of being. I have this board up at my home with my daughter. Tools are for fixing things. Are tools light or heavy typically? Because we got a tool bag, right? Right. So Resmaa Menakem, if you know him, he wrote My Grandmother's Hands. He has a course called The Foundations of Somatic Abolitionism. It's a beautiful course. And in it, he challenges the word tool and invites the word toy in. Now, we're all adults here. Don't go into that place. Toys to play with, right? Toys to play with. Versus tools because something's broken. When we call a plumber in and they bring that wrench or that snake to snake the drain, whatever that may be, those things are heavy. And only because something's broken, right? Something needs to be fixed. I don't believe we need fixing. What do we think about that statement? I see some agreeing. Okay. Feeling words. What do we feel when we hear, I don't believe we need fixing? Feeling words. This is an embodied workshop today, so it wouldn't be embodied if I didn't call on you to gain that insight on how you're feeling as well. Affirming. Thankful? Thankful as well? Yeah. Okay. Knowledge, yeah, okay. So like intrigued, enriched, yeah. Inspired, yeah. Anybody else? How do we feel when we've been approached as a project that needs to be fixed? Discouraged. How do we feel when we're expressing an emotion? I don't know if anybody remembers that archaic book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Remember that book used to be circulating? That's how old I am. You know, and it's, you know, that men in heteronormative dynamics obviously try to go right to fixing when you express an emotion, right? I don't know if I fully agree with that blanket overgeneralization over, you know, over that, but I have experienced it, right? My dad used to do it. He's like, oh, you're feeling, well, just push me through it, right? I have a deep need for space myself. It helps me process. It helps me metabolize. You ever have a really delicious meal, but you need time to digest? That's how I see emotions. This is a buffet. Who loves a good buffet? I love a good buffet, right? Who remembers in the 90s, like that buffet at Emerald Plaza on Maryville Road? Some of the buffets around Ottawa, those would almost kill you, I swear. But I love them. I love them, right? This is a good buffet. But you need time to digest because it's delicious. It's wholesome. It's concentrated, right? So the needing to be fixed is a colonized view of wellness. So we see this a lot, right? That scarcity that our kids are getting to of I'll be enough when, right? It's like, well, my practice in meditation, I'll be good at it when I'm calm, when I stop my thoughts. Do you know how many times I go into a meditation like see, hear, feel, and I'm raging? And I'm just using it to notice that. Just to notice that. And bring equanimity to it and honor, hey, this is where I'm at. You know what? I probably shouldn't contact my daughter's principal today because I know I'm going to say some things. I'm going to say some things. I need to take some time. Right? We can make informed decisions. This is the practice here. This is why we need to give this buffet to our kids. It is concentrated, though. They're going to need time to digest. There's nothing broken or wrong with them. In fact, I can tell you my 14, 15-month-old has no problem expressing these emotions, even if she doesn't have language yet to identify them. She don't care. She's throwing herself on the ground when she's feeling her feelings and doing the things. She doesn't care if she's in public. She doesn't care about any of those things. So we actually are born with this. And then in society and beliefs and so on, change that. So you're actually bringing the kids back home. They're bringing you back home to yourself. How beautiful is that? What a journey. What a journey. All right. So, as I was saying, that is typically the colonized view of wellness, one that treats our emotions as problems and our discomfort as something to control. Okay? What if emotions aren't problems but portals? What if our feelings are life force energy? And our needs are simply what we value. You want me to say that again? Let me say it again for you. We're going to church today. What if emotions aren't problems, but portals? What if our feelings are life force energy and our needs are simply what we value? I'm going to say it one more time for the gentleman that just came back in here. You're welcome. What if emotions aren't problems, but portals? What if our feelings are life force energy and our needs are simply what we value? Embodied practice. What am I going to ask you next? You guys know me already. Hired. I want to become a big deal, and I have money to hire people. I want all the ECEs. I love you guys. Oh, and EAs. Y'all didn't tell me I was here for like the best buffet ever. I love my EAs. Let me tell you that. This shift is everything. When we're in a hard moment with a student or a colleague or ourselves, it's easy to react. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I can guarantee you this. I know all of this and all my certifications, I tell you, I still pop off. Because I'm human. We're not robots. Well, there's a lot of AI coming in, but we're not robots. Nobody here is an AI robot, right? Great. But when we pause and check in with what we're feeling and needing, we open space for compassion, for choice, and for connection. So let's try a short reflection together. Think of something that's challenging you if you have a journal or a phone you want to write in, or you just want to think about it in your mind. Go ahead. Think of something that's challenging you right now. A moment of tension, a decision, a relationship that you think is strained, a thought about yourself or your work or something else in your life right now that brings up, again, here, what do I do now? Just take a moment. If you want to write it down, write that thing down. If you just want to bring it to the forefront of your mind, be with that. Want me to repeat it? Oh, you're all in it. So if you want me to repeat it, just let me know I can. Yes? Okay. Think of something that's challenging you right now. I have a preteen, so I tell you she challenges me every day. A moment of tension, a decision, a relationship that you think is strained. A thought about yourself or your work or something else in your life right now that brings up, what do I do now? Sometimes those thoughts of I'm stuck, I'm at a crossroads. Notice what feelings arise as you sit with it. You got the cheat sheet up here. You got the buffet. Feast away. Escape. What else, sorry? My hearing's going. Sorry? She said what? She said why. Why escape? Curiosity. You're feeling curiosity. You're feeling curiosity. All right. Got those feelings? I'm going to move the slide. That's why because your cheat sheet's going to go. It's going to go. I'm not marking you, I promise. So ask yourself, what do I want in this situation? You don't have to say it out loud, but just ask yourself, what do I want in this situation? Again, you can go back to this after the workshop. You can go back to this tonight, another day, so on. But just for the purpose of this right now, just explore it. It could be absolutely unrealistic in your mind. Like the rationale's going, oh, you want that, that's not going to happen. That's okay. We're going to meet that with equanimity. So that's okay to have those thoughts. They're just thoughts. You're not your thoughts. What do I want in this situation? And finally, if I got what I wanted, what deeper need would that meet? If I got what I wanted, here's your list of needs. What deeper need would that meet? Anybody care to share what's come up for them? And I can coach you through it live so people can see what that might look like. You don't have to, though. I can give you an example as well from my own personal life. But anybody want to share for the purpose of supporting their peers? They're comfortable with being vulnerable? Anybody want to share? No? She did? I didn't hear it. Friendships. Okay. So what's challenging you in the friendships? Okay, challenge in friendships is because they're based on my own needs, not the needs of others. Okay, so you are experiencing that yourself as you're reflecting. Reflecting on how it impacts the students that you have. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper. Tell me more. What does that mean? Oh, okay. Okay, so you pause there because I got to get it back for the online people because I didn't bring you the mic. So you are witnessing students in challenges. And you are having curiosity, so you have a thought. Where are the relationships for this child? Social relationships. Yeah, where are the friends of this child? Where's the social relationships for this child in this child experiencing this challenge? And where can we pull to actually feel complete? Okay, so what I hear is, if I was to put this directly on your internal weather system, okay, you as an educator, what is it that you value as to why you're even contemplating that? What do you think? Looking up here, what is it that you value? What do you think she values as we're looking at this? Compassion? What else? Connection? What else? Sorry? Respect, I heard, I think. Respect, I heard, I thought, yeah. Nurturing, yep. Belonging, yeah. Understanding, yep. Grateful, gratitude, okay. Community. Communication. I didn't catch your name, but what is it? So you've heard everybody share. What do you think it is? And it's an embodied practice. So I want you to notice as you look at those needs, what sensations and emotions show up for you, because when you identify the need, you will have a visceral reaction. Validation, okay. So is validation up here? It's not a need. What's the need? They've given some, sorry? Integrity? Integrity. All right. Where do you feel that in your body? All over. So if you value integrity, right? And you're in this scenario, and you're watching the students go through challenge, and you have this contemplation, this question of, where are their social supports, right? How are you honoring your integrity and your value for integrity in that? What behaviors, what decisions would you be making to honor that you have a need for integrity, that you value integrity in that moment? So what I'm hearing you say is that you, knowing that integrity is something you value, will take action according to how you identify with integrity within yourself, which to me integrity is doing what I say I'm going to do and being in alignment with my truth, right? I know for me, integrity is a big value as well. When I'm out of integrity and I do something like, snap, at my kids, then I know I'm not in my integrity at that moment, right? Or gossip or something like that. Then I know I'm not in integrity with myself. And let me tell you something about needs. What we value, our needs, we are the ones that are responsible for fulfilling them, not anybody else. We are responsible for it as individuals. Not the external stimulus, not external conditions. So if we have a need for connection, a need for understanding, it's not dependent on anybody else doing anything. How does that sound? A little wild, eh? Right? So if you have a need for integrity, for example, it's actually not dependent on what the students do and what happens in that scenario. It's 100% dependent on your ability to fulfill that need through your own agency, your own autonomy as a sovereign being, right? That's powerful. Imagine we're teaching our kids that. Now, you can make requests, of course. And typically NVC is used around conflict. Why I call it an embodied practice is for this reason, because we always have needs. We always have things that we're valuing in everything that we're doing at every moment of the day, whether we're conscious of it or not. So we have a conflict. You know, you owe me an apology. Well, what's my need in that? And I'm responsible for fulfilling it, but I want an apology from somebody else, and I'm having a thought and a judgment that you owe me this, and I'm making that demand, right? Then I'm putting my energy into someone else. I am now outward instead of inward, looking at the emotion as my own. I'm responsible for my own emotions, for my own thoughts, and what decisions I make from there. But if I'm not able to practice mindful awareness, I might not even be aware of what's happening within me and how that might be informing my decisions and my behaviors. And our students, our youth are absolutely experiencing that. This is where the emotional maturity and if you find this challenging, and I find this challenging at my tender age of 15, jokes, imagine our parents didn't learn this, their parents didn't learn this. We're learning this real time, raw dogging it with our kids, with our youth, right? That can be scary. That can be many things. I don't want to tell you what emotions there, but that can be many things. Okay, moving on before we close out, because I'm going to have to skip probably a couple slides, I think. Has anybody heard of the responsibility process? So this ties in really well with NVC. So let's talk about responsibility, not in the way it's often taught with guilt or pressure, but as a path back to our own agency. The responsibility process is a way of noticing what happens internally when we're under stress. When things go wrong, our minds often go to blame, then justification, as you can see there, then shame, then giving up, right? These aren't flaws, they're protective patterns. But when we become aware of them, we can choose something different. We can choose presence. In the classroom, in staff rooms, and relationships, responsibility isn't about taking on more. It's about pausing and asking, what do I actually have choice over? What do I actually have choice over? From that place, we act, not react. That's emotional sovereignty as well. So before mindfulness was mainstream, I don't love that word, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Afrocentric and indigenous worldviews were already guiding people toward wholeness, community, and care. George Day, if you don't know him, he's an incredible individual with incredible journals and a scholar in the Canadian landscape. He reminds us that schooling must be rooted in community. Leanne Simpson, who we've talked about already, teaches that land, story, and emotion are part of the curriculum. Bell Hooks calls the classroom a site of possibility. Do we feel like it's a site of possibility? Yeah. These are not just pedagogies, they are practices of presence, of belonging, of truth. When we center these approaches, we move away from control and toward connection. We stop asking students to shrink to fit systems and start asking systems to expand to meet the fullness of our students. How powerful is that? Powerful. And we know Ubuntu and Nelson Mandela. Everybody knows Nelson Mandela? The concept Ubuntu, the profound sense that we are human only through the humanity of others. That if we are to accomplish anything in this world, it will in equal measure be due to the work and achievement of others. That's why I said it's beneficial for all, this work, right? Necessary for some because of systemic discrimination and oppressive measures and so on, but beneficial for all. I am because you are. If our children are not okay, we're not okay as a society. Sankofa, an African word, Ghanaian origins, and symbol that means to go back and get it. It's a reminder to learn from the past, to inform the future. So let's stay honest about something. Even well-meaning approaches can cause harm when stripped of context. We've seen this with mindfulness and SEL being used in classrooms as management tools instead of healing practices. Calm down becomes a command, not an invitation. Liberatory frameworks lose their power when they are de-racialized, decontextualized, or treated as quick fixes. Even models like The Third Path, anybody familiar with that book? The Third Path, yeah. While it's powerful, I love that book, can fall short if they don't acknowledge race, trauma, or colonization. Emotional safety must be rooted in reality, or it's not safe at all. So we ask ourselves, are we replicating harm in softer language? Or are we courageously co-creating something different with the people most impacted at the center? So co-optation is when practices mean to liberate or heal. They're absorbed by dominant systems and repurposed to maintain control, often stripped of their original context and meaning. So we hear this a lot in the wellness world. We hear this a lot in the anti-woke language, right? I can't do this practice with you today because we're almost done, but I do have it up on my YouTube page and on my website, so if you want to do this practice at home, it's about 10 minutes. You can just listen to my beautiful voice if you're not sick of it and access that practice. So, let's close by returning inward. Think back to maybe what your intention was or your reasoning for joining this keynote, this workshop. Has something softened? Has something stirred in you? Emotional sovereignty is not just about expression, it's about coming home to ourselves. And that coming home is not a solo act, it's relational. It's community care. It's remembering. Like I said, my daughter, right? It's remembering what it's like to be free in your emotions and your body. My hope is that you leave today not with more things to do, but with permission to pause, to feel, to be, and maybe to carry forward one shift, one breath, one boundary, one new way of listening to yourselves and to your students and to your colleagues. This is the work, and you're already doing it. So thank you for joining. I appreciate you all. You know where to find me on the internet. And remember that your self-care is an act of political warfare. Caring for yourself is really, really important so that you can be present with your kids and show by living and modeling that every day that they can also care for themselves. How beautiful is that? Touching, eh? And these are some of the resources that I cited. So you can take a picture of that if you'd like. Not like you need more reading. A lot of them are audiobooks. Yeah, a lot of them are audiobooks. So highly recommend it. There is George Day, Anti-Racism Education, and there is Leanne Simpson, As We Have Always Done. That's short. I think it's like 150 pages, As We Have Always Done. It's an easy journal. If you have access to libraries, they're pretty much all of them are in there. Yeah, any questions, comments? How are we feeling? You're welcome. Gratitude. Thank you. Thankful. Thankful. Appreciative. Thank you. Inspired. Encourage. Yes. Sorry, what's the other one? Empowered. Yes. Yeah, you have a lot going on as educators. You have a lot going on as EAs and ECEs and supports, and you have things coming down from the ministry, coming down from leadership, right? Then you got the kids. I've only got 2. I can't imagine managing multiple, plus the space for yourselves, plus your colleagues. I'm sure there's some colleagues you look at and you're like, ooh, I notice I'm hearing some judgments. What are they doing? Right? And you got to navigate all of that. I don't want to give you more PD. Any PD you'll do with me, you'll know it's going to be a wellness retreat. Always. because that I think is the most important for you. And that I find when you are in that state, you can absorb more, just like your students. When you're in a state of self-care, you can absorb more, and the kids can absorb more too, right? When you're grounded in yourself. So thank you. Thank you so much. Go enjoy your day. You have amazing workshops going on. Thank you. I made it on time, 12 o'clock. Look at that. I don't know where Joey is. I don't know if anybody else is coming. I think it's lunchtime. Yeah.